finally, an MMO that respects your time. But as always, there's a catch. Brew Protocol Star Residence is a revival project from the original Brew Protocol developed by the Japanese game developer Bandai Namco. After Brew Protocol original failed massively in Japan, Tencent has bought out the IP as well as the remaining code of the original Brew Protocol and has turned it into a brand new MMORPG, which is Brew Protocol Star Residence with a twist, which is it's a now mobile game. I've been playing Brew Protocol Star Residence China on the Chinese servers basically since the original launch in China, and I can honestly answer every single one of your questions you have about this game. With its first season coming to a closure, and we have one full season of the game, I think it's time to finally give this game a very properly honest, complete review of what I actually think about the game. Spoiler alert, there are definitely some goods, but also a lot of bad, and maybe even ugly. With that being said, without further ado, let's talk about Brew Protocol Star Residence. And as always, if you enjoyed the video or you want to hear more about Brew Protocol Star Residence, definitely subscribe to the channel. Brew Protocol Star Residence is a casual anime MMORPG with really good graphics. It runs a holy trinity system of DPS, healer, and tank, and has pretty interesting and fun endgame rate as well as combat. And most importantly, anime titties. Because of the incredible character customization available in this game, a lot of people has created really amazing and really cool looking anime characters that are suitable to their need, whatever the truck this is. Featuring a lot of unique and cute cosmetic that you can customize to each opponent to create your perfect anime TD's character. Although do be aware that most outfits are premium currency only, which means you have to buy them with real money currencies. And most importantly, this game features a cosmetic gachas. The cosmetic gachas do not give any competitive gameplay advantage, it is pure cosmetic only, but majority of the nice looking outfit will be rather expensive to acquire. Now do be aware that while this game do features gacha element, it is not a gacha game. It is first and foremost an MMORPG, but it does have slight gacha element, mostly in the cosmetic, but also in the form of Imagi, which are battle summons. Most battle summons in this game are actually acquired through beating the boss themselves rather than through the gachas. The battle summon, aka Imagi, are a tradable thing on the auction house. The majority of these come from actually beating the boss instead of doing it on the gachas. You only swipe on the gachas if you're extremely pay to win, or you want the human gacha summon Imagi, which are unfortunately not acquirable outside of the gacha itself. It has some gameplay impact, but it's not the defining point of the game. You go through dungeon to acquire 90% of your gear and stuff like that. Also, this character is a cutie. When it comes down to the anime graphic of this game, honestly, this game has very good graphics on the PC version, and it's really hard to imagine that this is a mobile game. At least until you look at the rest of the menu and UI, because the menu and UI definitely reassemble current modern generation of mobile game. This game do feature a housing system, but it's very basic and very bare bones right now. For the most part, it's just for you to hang out with your friends in case you guys want to do something together with your anime titty. The mobile game-like UI or various mobile-like elements such as auto battle is definitely one of the biggest turn off I've heard from a lot of people when it comes down to Brew Protocol Star Residence. And you have to keep in mind that when they do develop this game for the futures, they will always think about mobile players. Now, a lot of people hear the word auto battle and they're like, what? This is a mobile game. Is the gameplay that boring to the point where you can auto battle? And the answer is no, that's not true. When it comes down to playing the game itself, doing your rotation properly is definitely going to dish out a lot more damage than doing auto battle, with the exception of marksman. This game definitely have interesting and satisfying combat, especially when it comes down to endgame raid, where you have to do the raid mechanics and stuff like that. Auto battle is only really used if you are really over gear and you're doing easy content, or you're playing a marksman, or you just kind of suck at playing the game, which is going to be majority of the casual player. Even though this game only have 4 skills, because of the way the talent tree kind of work, they add a lot of effect onto the skills. The skills actually could get pretty complicated, and they work synchronously with each other in the very end. people are really fast to actually figure out what is the most optimal rotation and way to play the game, just because there are not enough skills and people are able to like video craft the best damage really fast. But overall, the difficulty of performing the most optimal rotation is definitely there, and if you're like a player who is chasing after the biggest damage, you definitely have to practice and learn how to play a class properly, especially when it comes down to difficult fights. Over time, Brew Protocol Star Residence has actually improved their auto combo, auto battle logic to the point where majority of the casual player will actually be better off doing auto battle, because most people just cannot play the game at an optimal level. You can see that the game is actually smart enough to not cast this skills right here until my bar is empty, because this skill here refill my entire bar, so it know that until my full gauge here is empty, it won't cast the skills. Considering this is an anime style MMORPG, it is bound to attract a lot of casual skill issues player. Having the auto battle system in the game actually help them to do reasonable damage rather than zero damage. I have seen people literally doing less damage than healers, which is straight up impossible unless you're AFK. If you're interested in what an endgame raid look like in this game, I do have a video showcasing the Light Dragon, which I think is one of the best showcase available in the game right. If you don't have skill issues, auto battle is not going to be a concern for you, except if you're playing a marksman, because the marksman class is so overpowered and just spam attack that auto battle actually end up gaining damage in some cases because the game spam it faster for you. Here's a funny meme made by a Chinese player comparing Marksman to other available class in this game. You have Marksman, where you basically just do auto battle and you're able to dish out like 99% of your damage, while other class has to do. But I kind of hope that this kind of illustrates that this game is not purely an auto battle game unless you're suck at the game or you're playing Marksman. And considering this is a casual style anime MMORPG, I don't think that necessarily is a bad thing. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the biggest and the most important topic, the casual aspect of this game. This game, for the most part, you only have to really play 3 hours a week, and you can play like 5 to 10 minutes a day. The way this game kind of works is that you actually get majority of the resource by not playing the game. You get this amount of resource every week guaranteed by not even having to play the game. If you play like the bare minimum, you can get this much more resource. If you really care to grind, you get this much more resource, and beyond this is impossible to get unless you like swipe. And this is basically how it works. So majority of the resource actually come from not playing the game, and then doing the bare minimum give you a good amount more. Actually caring about the game and grinding might give you slightly more, and if you really care to grind, give you minimally more. Majority of the resource in this game is time gated behind weekly shop. For example, in this shop, you're able to buy a bunch of different unique resources like skill books or this purple crystals, which is used to exchange for latest raid gear. For example, this here, I can buy 20 a week, and this here is actually used to exchange for the latest raid gear. Coming to this raid NPC here, you can see that I'm able to exchange these purple crystals for level 80 raid gear, and this is currently the highest level gear of the game. This means that you can basically acquire your entire set of gear without ever stepping into the raid at all, simply just by logging in and buying out the weekly shop and then logging off and waiting for the next week. Of course, if you actually do the actual raid itself, you're able to acquire more of this currency and get your full set of raid gear a lot faster than just logging in and basically doing nothing. But hence this chart that I've created, where you can in fact get resource and get all the endgame gear without ever playing the game. If you do play the game though, you'll get them more and faster. Gear progression in this game overall is very slow and steady. It's just mostly about how many extra miles you're willing to go. There is some element of RNG, including the refinement mastery right here, which you can see I have a 60% chance right now, but I can additionally add some material to increase the gear. Or the gem also has an element of RNG, where I can pay more money to have a 5% chance to get a level 7 gem, which only slightly get more stats, which include a extra 10 mastery, extra 4 agility. Although I guess if you are able to get level 7 on every single one of your gear slot, the extra stat do add up. But none of these is technically required to progress in the game. It is mostly, again, how much extra mile you're really willing to go. The game overall is pretty generous to make sure that you're always making progress and your progression always are carrying over and are relatively meaningful. For example, when it comes down to the mastery, this actually carry over across gear and they go on the gear slot. So my weapon is level 14 right now, and if I switch to like a different weapon, this will still remain to be level 14. So this is a gear progression system that carried over from the beginning of the game, and as long as you upgrade, it will always be there, always be relevant, even if you switch gear, even if you switch class. So in that sense, you're always going to be making linear progression on top of each other. The same go with your actual gear. When you dismantle a gear piece in this game, you will get all the upgrade material you have put it in back. So this is actually a raid gear that I spent these crystals to craft, and you can see that if I were to dismantle this gear, I will actually get the pieces back and I can just go and craft a different gear. So you kind of can't really mess up. Like, I would just get the 60 red crystals back and I'm able to just spend another 60 to craft a different raid gear. It pretty much come back 1-to-1. So in that sense, you're always going to be making progress linearly upward, especially with how the game kind of just hand you out resources every single week, and it's just going to add up over time. If you somehow forgot to play the game, got too lazy to play the game, or you just don't want to play the game though, don't worry, the game still got you. Because every single week, every content that you miss will actually get collected, and the game automatically save up these resources that you miss, and they will allow you to buy them later on in a portion. For example, last week, I went on a week-long vacation to Disney World, and I didn't get to play the game. And so the game is like, hey, you didn't play the game for a week, here are a portion of all the resources that you missed that you potentially could have gotten. So check this out very seriously. This is a character that I have almost never played it. It is at level 23, but the max level cap in this game is level 60. So this character basically only went through the tutorial. However, because of this characters have technically never done any of the content, since it is level 23 instead of being at max level, this character technically missed out on all the available content every single week. And check it out, the game is basically like, oh look, you didn't play for since launch, here's all the resources that you have missed. Here's every single resource you missed. 120 of the raid gear, 40 of these raid exchange pieces, whatever, and technically I can gear this character to max right now by just buying all the compensation. This box here, for example, is daily dungeon drop. So for example, the game is like, oh, you missed this amount of daily dungeon, I'm gonna buy the drop that I have missed it, and now I'm gonna open the box and check that out. I just got gear. I just got level 80 gear like that, when my character is level 23, didn't even pass the tutorial, never stepped foot into a single dungeon. In that sense, the game is incredibly generous with its resource and time. There's always a baseline of resources you can get. You can always make progression every single week without ever playing the game. This chart is completely real. You can definitely get a lot of resources without ever even playing the game. But the double-edged sword and the other problem is that you get progressively less and less and less resource if you do decide to play the game or even grind. You practically can't really grind anything at all because every single resource is capped. The question is, how does the game know how many resources to compensate you? And that is because every single resource in this game is capped. You can only get maximum amount of this much per week if you basically do every single content, and so the game just gives you back a portion, and the game is able to do that because there is a capped amount of resource you can get every single week, no matter what. No matter if you grind every single thing, you can only get this amount of resource and you have to wait for the next week. To be perfectly honest, I feel like this game is the cookie clicker of MMO. Basically, every day just log in to see how many cookie you have, and then you spend that cookie to get more cookie, and you're always going to make more linear progression. You're never ever going to lose cookie. You can optionally decide to actually play the game and click the cookie to get more cookie if you choose to go for that extra mile. But for the most part, what you're going to do is you're just going to log in, collect your cookies, and then spend your cookies to get more cookies. It's kind of like log in to get resources, spend that resource to upgrade your gear, wait for the next week, maybe use your new resources to upgrade more resources. The only way to get more resource than the game gives you is by swiping on the auction house, which I've already made a completely separate video about the pay to win this game. But the short version is that you can either wait until next week to get more resource from the time gate, or you can swipe. Now, I want to make it clear that this game does not have a energy system that limits how much you can play the game. You can, in fact, infinitely farm and grind the dungeon if you choose to. The dungeon drop a specific upgrade material, which are these stones. These are capped on a weekly level, so you can infinitely grind and play the dungeon, but after getting like 30 or so stone from the dungeon, you will stop getting these upgrade material and you have no further way of upgrading the gear. The dungeon, however, continue to drop the actual gear itself, which allow you to basically continuously farm the stat line. The stat line in this game is RNG, at least a gear from dungeon. They have like a lot of different stats. They have like a random purple stat and then 2 like random main stats. You can infinitely farm until you get the perfect stat line in this game from the dungeon. So if you are a min-max enjoyer, then yes, there is something for you to grind. You can grind the dungeon and you can keep grinding it until you get the stat line. But you won't be able to get the actual material to upgrade them. And hence, where this graph basically comes from is that if you infinitely grind the dungeon, the only difference between you and everyone else is that you'll have better stat line or more perfect stat line. But otherwise, you'll be limited on many other resources in this game anyway. In that sense, this game definitely feels like a log in, do your 5-minute daily and log out and wait for your next week to get more resource kind of game. In that sense, I think it can get stale and boring really fast. It does respect your time, but the offside is that there's just basically nothing to do. This problem get really bad really fast because this game have the same exact 6 recycled dungeon. At the current moment on Brew Protocol Star Resident China, there are 3 tiers of gear. There is the level 40 gear, which is what you get from the beginning. Well, there's the level 40 purple gear, and then the level 40 legendary gear, and then the level 60 legendary gear, and finally you move on to the level 80 legendary gear. However, even though these gear are different tier, you get them all from the exact same dungeon. They're all recycled content. So for example, coming into the Goblin dungeon, the normal mode, which is the first dungeon you encounter in this game, gives you the purple level gear. The hard mode, which is the exact same recycled dungeon but with slightly harder mechanics, gives you the level 40 gold gear. And then you move on to master mode. The master mode at this point is pretty much the exact same. It has slightly more mechanics than the hard mode. However, there's like 20 different levels, all exact same except with higher gear score requirement. The level 1 master mode dropped the level 60 gear, and then the level 6 master mode dropped your level 80 gear. Every single one of these dungeons is the exact same. So you're basically doing the same dungeon over and over and over and over and again throughout the entire game, except you drop the same gear. So this makes the game go stale really fast because you're farming the same boss you have seen since the beginning of the game for 2-3 months all the way to end game, and you're still farming the first boss you have seen in the game. So it doesn't feel like new at all, even though it dropped new gear, quote unquote, and you have to refarm it all over again. If you are really into min-maxing, you can definitely chase after a higher master level. It gives you like a flex. You're like, oh, I beat master level 20, haha, I'm like the strongest player in the game. For most casual player, you can just basically farm the lowest level and you get the exact same thing. There isn't really a reason to chase after harder content. For the most part, the content is fun and really interesting the first time, or maybe even the first 2 times you clear it, but then it definitely get repetitive and stale really fast just because there's not enough content in this game. For the most part, this is a extremely casual MMORPG. Once again, it is like a 5-minute a day worth of things, and you can get 95% of the things done, which there is the trade-off when it comes down to having the game be so time efficient and quote-unquote respect of your time. Nevertheless, this is a really good casual MMORPG for people who just don't have the time, or they want to take their sweet ass time exploring and playing the game without having to like sweat or grind. But for the people who are looking for more and beyond that for a game that they can really get into, then I'm afraid this is not going to be quite the game there. This is where the seasonal aspect of Brew Protocol Star Residence come in. You can see the current season is void season, Started in July 16 and is planning on ending in October 14. Of course, the last one is kind of fake. It's just kind of recycling the same content over and over again. So this season, for all we know, basically is ended. All the content is already available and people have already experienced all the content, which is the void season. Moving on to the next season, we're gonna expect completely brand new content, new theming, and doing new things like new season pass, new season armband, and refarming all the gear and stuff like that, which basically hopefully bring back all the player and give new things to farm and new styles of content to play for. And this is where Blue Protocol Star Residence differ. It is a game where you play a month at a time every season, and then once you have explored all the new content, you are basically choosing to either optionally repeat the same content but get the higher level stuff, or you can just wait for the new season. If you were to ask me a very honest rating and review of this game, honestly I would hesitate to say it is a good MMORPG, but I would say for the most part it is a fair MMORPG. It is fine if you have nothing else to play and stuff like that. This is mostly a 5-minute side game. It is not really a game where I come home and be like, oh, I can't wait to play Blue Protocol Star Res. It's more just like, hey, let's just play a little bit to keep up every day. But hey, at the very least, I'm still logging in and playing the game every single day, so I'm sure there's some kind of charm there to keep me logging in and playing every single day. Just not the, I can't wait to go home and play it. Nope, if I miss it, it's fine. If I got a week off, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Like, it's like whatever. Nevertheless, I would definitely heavily encourage people who are watching this video to try the game still. When the game is in the first 2 months state, especially when you don't know anything, especially when the game is so new, it is definitely really fun, like figuring out everything, exploring the system and stuff like that. If you need help, if you need guide, I'll be uploading a bunch of those on this channel, so don't worry, just make sure you hit the subscribe button and I'll tell you every single thing you need to know. And you can even ask me in the comment what you would like to see. What is the best class in this game? Spoiler alert, it's Wolf Bowl. Just play this class. Play Marksman, is so broken. But with that being said, thanks for watching this video. Subscribe. This is not meant to bash on the game. I think this game is, for the most part, pretty good at the first 2 months. And it just gets stale really fast. And it dropped to like a fair rating and stuff like that. Heavily encourage people to try this game out for sure. I'll be live on Twitch, so be sure to see you there. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.